Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben here with Bill and Brian talking about episode number 8 of Survivor 49. We got the infamous split tribal, the less common version, the only one person gets voted out version. And then we also got a secondary and tertiary twist on top of that we'll talk about, all leading to a situation where MC gets eliminated here by the end of the episode. We talked last week about how there is set up here for Savannah, Rizzo, and Soph to not be in danger, despite the fact they should, by all logic, be in danger. And we're like, how does that happen? And we found out the way that it happens, which is that they're all immune.
Yeah, so something had to give, right? We have a straight up merge last week for the most part, so yeah. I figured something was going to give. Dare I say, though, kind of worked this week. I enjoyed this episode. I think it worked. I wish we would stop doing these small tribal splits, but I think, for the first time in New Era, I feel like that this actually worked. I think that this is a very good episode. Honestly, I think that the dynamics of the going into tribal were very interesting. I think that, with our knowledge of 50, once again, you always have to bring it up. I was assuming Savannah won, but I think that the challenge was great. I think that the advantages and whatnot that were given were a little bit overpowerful, but it really worked for the story in this episode. I was a big fan of this episode, and it's usually something that I would not be a fan of, because in previous seasons, which has been pretty much every season, the New Era, when they've done something like this, it has not worked. And it's been more so just for the sake of blowing up people's games. And obviously the people whose games were affected tonight will probably feel a little bit more that way, but I think it worked. And I think the path of continuing down Savannah's storyline, I guess Rizzo too, I think it kind of adds both a hero element and a villain element for them. I think Savannah is the villain to Rizzo's kind of like bumbling, lovable hero type thing going on. So I liked it. I think that this season's really turning around. I think we have a semi-interesting kind of couple weeks in front of us. I can see this kind of winding down to be a very predictable, maybe boring final five, maybe say. But I really like this episode a lot. And the more I've kind of sat with it, I've liked it more. So honestly, 2 thumbs up for me.
Yeah, Don, I'm on the same page, honestly. I went into this being like, I'm not going to like this. I hate the split tribal, but if we had to do split tribal, I did think it was entertaining. I think it sucks for MC. I really do want to talk a little bit about Jawan's feelings on MC being so negative from not being told she had an idol / not being trusted versus being told that Sophie was straight up going to vote him off if idol came out. But yeah, I mean, all in all, pretty fun episode for what it is. Obviously, I would prefer that we just have a normal tribal council, but that's never going to happen in the New Era. So all things considered, it worked.
Yeah, I think that for me, I'd say, definitely better than the split tribals usually are in terms of just how the narrative kind of played itself out. I saw a couple of issues with the kind of structure of the episode and some of the things that we'll talk about. In particular, the live tribal and not really like getting anything from that other than just like watching people whisper without hearing what they're saying, which has been a big complaint of mine about the live tribals. But as far as like the way the twist itself played out, it's definitely like it could have been worse, right? Because like the thing that, you know, I always talk about with twists is you want something that like at worst does nothing and at best like switches the game up for the people in the minority. And historically, the twists that are done on these shows is kind of the opposite, where like the best case scenario is it does nothing, and the worst case scenario is that it just like bolsters the majority and like stifles gameplay. And I think here this twist and like kind of the extension of it definitely was a little bit convoluted, and it definitely could arguably be said to have been a little bit OP. But I think that the effectiveness of it for me was it exposed bad gameplay, and we'll talk about it because I think that a lot of the people in this episode played badly. I think Sophie played badly. I think MC played badly. I think Jawan played badly. I think Rizzo actually played it well. Obviously, he is in a position where he has an idol. He has kind of a lot of the kind of structural power that this twist offers him. And because of that, he is in a position where he's able to play better. But I don't think he really made any glaring errors here. So I was really glad to see that the bad gameplay got punished and the good gameplay got rewarded, even around the twist.
Yeah, that was really kind of the story of tonight's episode was MC and Sophie just completely kind of blowing up their games, and it kind of became a matchup of who could kind of destroy their game quicker. Where MC kind of started last week with the idol play, where I still think potentially it was the right move to play the idol. Everybody knew about it. I think playing it was real, but then you get into the obviously people like Juan who it kind of, but it was the first time they had ever voted together, right? So that's another thing we talked about last week too, was that it's your first time ever voting together. You don't really know how you can trust these people until after how this vote goes. So I understand being MC and being scared and wanting to play it. So I don't knock her for that, but I do think, especially in this stage, the vote to go to Rizzo, somebody that you know still has an idol, is such the obvious and necessary vote to make. I don't get I don't get the dancing that they had to do at this point for Sophie and MC to try to go work around that, because clearly everybody else, Sage, who I think I'm really turning around on a lot too. I think Sage is a good player, and I think her head's in a lot of the right space, and I think that she is kind of caught playing with the people that are left in this game. And, you know, maybe for whatever, I mean, but then again, Shannon set herself in a position where Shannon needed to go too. So I think that Sage's hands has been tied for the most part, kind of leading up to this, but Sage is somebody I think that can still go quite far. And I think that she's making herself a little bit more likable. And I'm actually really enjoying, this is kind of turned into like a woman's season, which if you look at a lot of previous seasons, males kind of were the front runners, really kind of heading into the back end. Whereas this, I think that a lot of the female relationships and the female players are by far the more interesting of the male and female dynamic. And I think it's been really entertaining. And I think that, you know, Sage was annoying me a lot before, and I've really come around on her now. And I think add that to the dynamic with Savannah and even Sophie now. Like I texted you guys when we were watching the challenge, I think they really don't like Savannah. And I think you're starting to understand why too. I think Savannah kind of comes off as, and we've all known that person in our life where when it's going great for her, she'll let everybody know. When it's going bad, she'll let everybody know. And I think that that's starting to get to them. So I'm really enjoying that a lot. And on the flip side, I think Jawan, although I don't think he played that great in this episode, I'm really enjoying Jawan as a character and as a player. I think that he is a fun element. And I think that something we've talked about in previous seasons too, of like we get so many of kind of the same cookie cutter versions of people from season to season, where I do think that there's a few characters in this season that are really their own person. And I think it's working quite well. I really enjoy Jawan. I think he's very likable. I don't necessarily know if he's a great player, but he's made himself likable to a lot of other people on that beach, which is a plus to him. And he's somebody I can see probably unwinding a little bit when we get down to final 6, final 5, but I think that he could easily be there. And I don't know. I from where we were, you know, an episode or 2 in to now, I am really kind of gone full swing. I think that this season has really picked up a lot of steam. And I think the players are also just finding kind of their footing on this game. But I do think our girl Sophie with an I am a little not concerned, but I am interested of where she goes from here, because it did seem like she was very willing to flip on Savannah and Rizzo, but it was also the right thing to say in the moment too. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out next week with her.
Yeah, lucky for her, she didn't have to show her cards at all this round because of the way the twist worked. So because this game maybe, flipped a little bit with the post scramble and stuff, maybe she just can kind of wait and see what happens and kind of go forward. So I think this was actually like pretty solid for all the people who got left on the beach to just kind of be like, oh, okay, MC's out. We didn't vote MC out, so that's good for us.
Yeah.
And although I will say, like, I don't know if MC was necessarily super, it didn't seem like she was super in with anybody who was left. Granted, there's not like a ton of Hina left. So I don't know. Like, it felt like we were showing that her and Jason were tight, but then obviously Jason's gone. So I guess, like, what do you guys think the bigger impact of MC being gone is going to be?
Well, it definitely doesn't help the narrative that the first two people to go post merge are always black people of color, specifically black
That
people.
is
I think
true.
it is.
Yeah.
I feel like we are on like 5, 6, 7 straight seasons of this.
During
It's
the
great.
split in particular, it's like
Yeah.
there's a pattern for sure.
It's that's wild. Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
No, I mean I actually disagree. I think that the storyline we've been getting was that the trio from Hino was Christina, Steven, and MC. And that's why I liked Rizzo's play this episode, pushing so hard, using his leverage to get the vote on MC instead of Sophie. I think that was definitely the correct play.
Right.
Like, regardless of, I think Sophie's really unnecessarily stubborn and kind of has to be like dragged into the correct move here.
Yeah.
Like just like kicking and screaming for no reason, which is like not great. Like I've not seen incredible instincts from Yellow Sophie so far, from the little we've seen of her. But I do think from the Rizzo and Savannah perspective, forcing this move onto MC instead of Sophie was like definitely correct. Like, especially when you have Jawan and Sage fighting in a certain direction, you're in a position where you need to blow the game up a little bit, or like kind of blow the pieces open enough that you can kind of find a crack. And like this was a necessary hill to die on. I think was getting MC out, and I do think that it probably opens up enough room, because now Rizzo keeps his idol. They don't know, Savannah and Rizzo don't know, but Sophie, Blue Sophie has a knowledge is power advantage. She still is trying to maintain her relationship with Alex. Alex knows where the other idol is. He knows that Christina finds it in this episode. And I don't particularly like, given that Christina has spoken like maybe a grand total of 7 sentences this entire season. I don't particularly think that Christina is going to find a lot of successful use of that idol if we're just doing some surface level edit reading. And for me, like, we've been kind of having this like Chekhov's knowledge is power ever since it's been introduced. And this is kind of feeling like the season where it actually is going to hit. And I think that we've kind of put the pieces in place now as to how that's going to play out, where Christina finds this idol, Alex knows, Alex tells Sophie, Sophie uses it on Christina, steals her idol. That's my like kind of open prediction onto what's going to happen. And then, yeah, we have like this Sophie, Rizzo, Savannah trio with 2 idols, and they've blown the game open. Like, that's just, I think, where we're going.
I'm not sure we've reached a point of the game where 3 players have felt kind of completely removed from the main storyline, where with Alex, Steven, and Christina. I have, because we saw them in the beginning of the episode, then obviously everything post challenge they were completely removed from, but they are like they are 3 people that desperately need to make that big move, because they are both edit and within the game just seem like they are numbers only at this point. Which sometimes, obviously, we've seen people be able to take that quite far, being just a number, and not necessarily turning into a win, but you find yourself kind of getting there in the end game. We saw Erica in 41 basically be a number and just be there up until the very end. Then she won the season. So hopefully narrative wise, that's not what's happening with those 3 players. But even Sophie, we didn't hear from Sophie the first 6 episodes, and then she became an integral part of the past 2 and won a challenge and had like quadruple the confessions that she had leading into that episode. So I don't know. I think the the editing of this season, the edits for some of these players has been a little all over the place outside of Savannah and I guess Rizzo too.
And so
I don't know.
Sophie.
And Sophie. So although I feel like the past 2-3 weeks, Sophie, our Sophie with an I, we have not really heard from that much. Which obviously, because a lot of the times the ball has been in other players' courts, which isn't necessarily a knock on her, but I think that she also, if we want her there in the end game, and also somebody that reasonably think that we could win, is going to have to drive something and not just be the third wheel to Savannah and Rizzo, because realistically she was fourth wheel up until Nate Dogg was voted out last episode.
Yeah.
So.
You know,
Good.
I just don't see. At this point, I would be kind of flabbergasted if Savannah, Rizzo, or Sophie does not win the season. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, it doesn't make any sense. Like narratively from what the story they're telling, it doesn't.
The problem is that I do think these episodes would be a lot more interesting without the 50 knowledge. I think it would be much more of a nail biter.
Yeah,
and I
still like they're like you're not convincing me that we're heading into a Steven, MC, Christina, Sophie endgame when like I couldn't tell you a single thing about 3 of those players. You know what I mean? Like,
I think especially after this week where you've had for Savannah and Rizzo, and if you're including Sophie too, could not have gone better. I literally could not. I don't think could have gone better. Short of them all being completely immune and Savannah being able to go by herself, I don't think could have gone better. Because even then, now you have basically inside knowledge to what all the rest of them are thinking, and on top of that, you know, we've said before, there's nothing less dangerous than an idol every single person knows about, and you hold on to play it until the very end. But in this situation, I do think Rizzo having that idol, it's almost like it's turning into a Tony and Cagayan situation where he has it and he can continue to completely leverage it in his advantage, which is what we saw this week. Because once again, I think the easiest vote was to go for Rizzo. It made the most sense if you're excluding when Savannah came. I still think that they should have drove that home, but clearly, once again, bad gameplay, MC, Sophie, and you want to put. Once again, I love Juwan. I think he's entertaining to watch. I think we're also building up where his paranoia is clearly going to be his undoing, and I think it's going to happen in a big way. But I don't know. And the same thing, I also thought, honestly, potentially going into tribal, that Rizzo was the guy to go. I thought this was going to be the bait and switch. He goes home with the idol in his pocket. We all sit there and talk about, oh my God, I can't believe Rizzo went home with the idol, and he's basically almost the second chance player to be in 50. I really thought that could happen. So I guess that's another interesting part to watch for this season too, is I'm almost like, oh, wow, when is Rizzo going to go? And how far is he going to go? But I agree with you, Ben. It really feels like naturally, even watching without the knowledge of 50, Rizzo, Savannah, and Sophie just seem like the natural 3 there in the end.
Yeah. I don't know, Brian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and like you guys have alluded to, it's tough because of the knowledge of 50, but also the edit is pretty obvious. So it's like, okay, obviously they were going to get out of the jam they were in this episode. How does it happen? Some production, like, I don't want to say fuckery, but some production fuckery, like, oh, if this is a straightforward round, maybe there's some more interesting stuff happening if Savannah wins immunity and Rizzo has the idol, but maybe it's just Sophie getting voted off in that spot. Maybe we'll see if Alex does share the knowledge that Christina has the idol and then she can snipe it out of her. But yeah, I do wonder, in a world where we didn't know who was on 50, if things would be different. But like you said, Ben, it's already, the edits already revealing like these players are probably in it for the long haul. And the one thing that kind of trips me up is like, I thought Savannah might be the winner, but there are going to be some people who don't like Savannah. Maybe she just plays such a masterful game down the stretch that it's like undeniable. I don't know.
Yeah, it would definitely be a really bizarre winner story. Like if Savannah does win the season, because she's gotten like so much negative content, and
Right.
like
Yeah.
she's been like a very fun, complex character on the show. Like I've really enjoyed her just like as a television character. It's like very rare on Survivor that we kind of get this like kind of complex anti-villain underdog story. It's not like really like something that frequently happens. Like usually when you're the villain, you're like the one calling the shots. Like I would say like Russell Hanson Samoa is probably like the closest in terms of like a comparison point of like somebody who is personally hated but also an underdog, but also like such a strong anti-villain, but like can't win a jury vote because everyone despises him, and then like also kind of controlling the game. And I'm not like trying to draw a direct comparison because I think that I don't think it's really a strong comparison, but that's like the only other example that's like really immediately coming to mind where you have like this kind of anti-villain character that's also kind of in an underdog position, but also succeeding from an underdog position.
And it's interesting because the other female winner that I bring up from the new era is D, to kind of like, and it's not necessarily comparable gameplay wise because
Not at all. Yeah.
D used how likable she was to her advantage to get herself there to the very end. And I do think that I can respect both gameplays, but I think that Savannah's is way more enjoyable to watch. What you said, Ben, about being a better TV character in a way to watch. So that's been interesting too, because I've always been saying we are desperate for a villain, and I don't necessarily know if Savannah would fall into that villain category in a lot of other older seasons. But for the new era of being someone that is clearly here, I am here to win. She is kind of flaunting when she does well, and like I said, she is very vocal when something that she does not like happens. If we're going to go back to earlier where Jawan was annoying her and she immediately just wanted to vote Jawan out, and so I think that's an interesting dynamic going into 52 is to have a player like that of those two going at each other, where I know everybody says that they think the most recent winners going into 50, assuming Savannah wins once again, because we are a 50.
I don't know. It would be a fucking crazy winner at this point. I don't know. Like they have to like they've started the seeds in this episode, obviously, with her talking about her past with her job and the mental health struggles that led to, and then the physical health struggles that came from the stress of dealing with those. Like they like started putting the pieces in place for some kind of flip, but they also had, Sage calling her a mean girl, and you have Sophie rolling her eyes at Savannah like 12 different times. Like pretty much every time that Sophie is on screen, she's rolling her eyes at something that Savannah is saying. So it's like, I don't know. It would be a very odd way to like sell her as a winner. And it almost is feeling like Rizzo is a more believable winner for me.
And I guess like all that, the main driving point, obviously, behind assuming she's a winner is those elite tribe layouts. Where we're not going to get into all that, but that is the obvious like giveaway. But that's assuming that is a 100% factual how they were. So, but I agree with you too, Ben. I think that this very easily could blow up in her face, or it's the type of situation where a lot of people just respected the fact that she played her own game.
Yeah.
And maybe, hopefully, this is a tribal where people are actually able to pitch and defend why they deserve to win. Because I'm desperate for that to come back too. So I don't know. But at the same time, I don't necessarily know, even though he's building quite the case for himself, I don't know if you look at Rizzo right now that I would be more satisfied with him as a winner as a viewer than I would be as Savannah. I think Savannah winning the challenge this week in the kind of the way with how kind of the good, if you want to say like quote unquote like good versus evil of Sophie versus her, even though we're just getting to know Sophie at this point. I think that was very much like, oh shit, like this person, like Savannah can manage to win another challenge and kind of like really paint herself as a great player. I I think that a lot of people that are there might start to look at her like, yeah, she annoys me. She kind of sucks, but she's also by far the best player in this game right now.
Yeah, and like if that's how it plays out, I kind of like that because I think so. And before I say anything, the winner of Survivor deserves to win Survivor. But I think a lot of times people will not like somebody in the finals who maybe played better than the person they do like, and then they'll kind of retroactively invent reasons as to why they actually aren't as good of a player as the person who they want to vote for just because they like that person more,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I've done it.
Yeah. People have done it. It's happened.
Yeah.
So I think if the, are like, you know what, Savannah, here's $1 million, get out of my face, never speak to me again. That's cool,
Yeah, I do. It is part of Survivor, though, right? Like, I say, like, tongue in cheek, I've done it, and like it's been done to me in these live games that we played. And it's like, it's just kind of, the order of operations for how people vote as a juror is generally like, who do you respect as like 1A, and then who do you like as 1B, and like often that's correlated to how you play, and often that's correlated to just like a popularity contest, or like whether you've put the social work in with that person, whether you're just naturally likable or charismatic, whether you're able to do sneaky things, and still come away with people like kind of just like wagging their finger at you, like,
right,
as opposed to like wanting you to die. Like there's just like kind of a lot of like implicit aspects to getting jurors to want to vote for you that is not really like very easily capturable as like a checklist. But I think that like for me, it's always just 1A, do you respect that person? 1B, do you like that person? And I think people are willing to vote for people that they don't like as long as they respect them. And I think that's really kind of where Savannah has to thread the needle here. Is she has to like play well enough that people like have to have undoubtable respect for her that outweighs any kind of potential personal dislike.
It all comes down to you just never know what kind of juror you're going to get either.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're on the island, obviously you probably have a better gauge than the viewer at home, but it could literally be a matter of one vote, like we have with Charlie. It could literally be a matter of somebody being spiteful that it's you there and not them, and it's. I think that's the interesting part of why I love Survivor so much, where it's both incredibly frustrating to see someone that I think does not necessarily deserve to win from the viewers aspect of the game to win, but at the opposite side, it's like every season could be different for what you're getting. It does feel like outside of the Charlie and Mackenzie final that I just mentioned, it does feel like a lot of the seasons, though, the winners, excluding Gabler, even though Gabler seemed like a pretty like they're unanimous. That was a spiteful vote. Those are a bunch of haters. It does seem like that the vote is like pretty uniform, and people seem to like and respect the person in their game for the most part. At least like the top two of the three players, that they respect the person, at least one of them in their game, and even though they were on the wrong side of this person's moves a lot of the time, that they still vote for that person.
Gable is a great example of in my opinion, people retroactively deciding that they're a good player to cover up their vote. We don't have to get into that. I know it's contentious. And
let's get into it.
We do not need to have another Gabler discussion on this show. We have discussed it to death. The internet has discussed it to death. God bless him. He donated all of his winnings. That's impressive. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah. It's just, again, a matter of like, do you like the person? Do you respect the person? Does your respect for them outweigh any potential personal dislike? And I think that is like kind of, to not get into dig too much of the weeds, like that's kind of a situation where with Cassidy, people personally disliked her, and that she didn't play a respectable enough game to outweigh that in comparison Like if we're just doing like scale balancing, you know, the respect that you garner from the game that you play and the way that you carry yourself has to outweigh any kind of negative feelings that people have for you. And if it doesn't, you're probably not going to get that person's jury vote.
Yeah, I agree. Excluding the fact that I think Carla and Jesse should be banned from Survivor for life. I agree.
Well, hey, I've seemingly Jeff.
I think they are. I think Jesse at the very least after. Although Jeff has he's gone soft. I feel like you could tell Jeff to fuck off, and he now is like just bringing anybody on. I guess we'll see though. I think
is Jesse one of the people who's going to be on Mr. Beast's show? That's a consolation prize, right?
I guess.
I know his son does. I don't know. I haven't followed Beast games very closely. I'm gonna be real.
It was fine.
Yeah,
it's just so random, you know. Like it's just like there's no strategy to this. It's just like you end up on the right side of whatever weird ass challenge is the elimination this round. You know. One day I stole like a lot of money from people. That was fun. That was a good moment. And 4 other people had the chance to win $1 million by eliminating like 100 people, and none of them did it. And I'm like, damn, I would have 100 like slammed that button. Like, God. So, anyways, make sure you follow Better Radio for our Mr. Beast Games 2 recap show.
This is a good time to announce our Blindsiders spin-off show, The Blindsiders Mr. Beast. I couldn't think of a better name on the spot there. So,
oh yeah, Mr. Beast works.
I mean, you know, Squid Game and Challenge just came back with season 2 as well, and like, you know,
true. Shout out Mark, Player 100, part of the LRG community with us.
Well, there's multiple. There's many. I have met and or played games with multiple people on the Squid Games The Cast season 2 cast.
That's cool to me.
Which is neat. Yeah. I still haven't watched it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm not gonna watch Squid Game The Challenge, but I'm happy for the people who got on it.
Yeah,
you know.
Should we all just join Squid Games The Challenge?
Yeah, let's apply season 3 as a joke. We'll apply and all get on it somehow.
It'll be a storyline. There's 5 million people on every season, so you know, it's like a.
There's a cast of 456, right? That's so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could talk.
First 2 seasons of Squid Game the show, very good. Season 3, yeah.
I mean, this is the thing, but like these games, where like the format requires you to just ignore like 95% of the people that you cast. Just like, well,
right? Yeah. Don't love it.
What? Why are you presumably paying a bunch of appearance stipends, or maybe not paying people appearance stipends based on?
I don't think you get paid on Squid Game.
Well,
that's what I heard.
I know Beast Game season 1, there was a lot of drama about like people not getting stipend or whatever.
Don't you not get residuals for streaming shows? Isn't that a thing?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but usually for reality shows, you'll get like a
flat fee
just for playing, like a $1,000 stipend or something like that.
I remember watching like a really lengthy video of how like the streaming services like kind of like absolutely fucked a lot of like lower end actors and their residuals and all that stuff.
Yeah, it checks out.
Yeah, acting used to be a job that you could just like do and have a job and not necessarily be famous, but you are like a working actor. But now it's not like that at all.
I need to be a professional reality TV star.
Yep, that's the move. I do always, you know, think like, should I have just tried way harder to get on reality TV so I could be on the challenge for 10 seasons in a row? But you know what? Didn't happen.
Do you think reality TV has reached a point though where it's like it's interesting because I feel like Survivor, I've had a conversation with some Survivor fans too, where they want Survivor to go back to where they're actually like trying to cast people rather than like taking submissions of everybody who's a Survivor fan, of like going out and trying to get the people that maybe don't know the most about Survivor and kind of
We
pull
saw
them
that.
back
That was
in.
Survivor 48, and it was a shit show, and it was awful.
I think
Yeah,
because somebody on TikTok who said that they've only watched the new era, or maybe they only watched this season, and heard that a lot of people like prefer the old style. Like, why is that? And I've been thinking a lot about that. And for me, obviously, the nostalgia of it is one thing, but the show felt like the show itself felt bigger. Like it was more of like a cultural
Yep.
icon, and $1 million was a lot more relatively back then. Like I feel like back then, if you won $1 million, you're like, oh, you're rich. Now it's like, nice. I can maybe afford the house that I want, or I can be more picky with my job. But it's not gonna be something that makes someone rich. And then to make it even worse, the only people who can go on it are people who are in these, you know, white collar jobs that can get time off, or are for like freelance people. Like you're not going to get Big Tom anymore. You're not going to get regular
Seahawk.
people. What was that?
Stu Hawk, yeah.
Stu Hawk. Yeah, you're not going to get these people on the show anymore, just because of how the economy is set up nowadays. And because Survivor was like the icon, because the money was so much more relatively, when people were getting voted off, they like felt it. It was like, you're killing me. You're taking this huge opportunity away from me. Now, because of people like us, quite frankly, is way more viewed as, oh, it's a game. It's like, Mario Party. And yeah, someone wins $1 million at the end, but whatever. Like it's GG's, like it's all good. And it was not that for a long time, And
Yeah, and then on top of that, like, with returning player seasons have not happened in a long time, but like there was a stretch in the 20s and into the 30s where returning player seasons were very frequent. And I think that also was like, oh, okay, well, if I don't win, like as long as I was a good enough character, I could get a returning player, shot.
Right.
And then also now we have all of these kind of spin-off reality shows. We're obviously going to talk about The Traitors season 4 starting in less than 2 months. Like that's another opportunity. The challenge, like you mentioned, is another opportunity. So like as long as you're like a presence on the show and you do something memorable, or like you're like semi-memorable as a character, like there are opportunities for you to do more even if you're not the winner. And so like I think that also probably adds to like the lack of people being as pissed off. And then like you said, like if the prize money was $5 million, right? I don't think that would, yeah, that people would be way more pissed. We'd get way more Kelly Nalbandian style entrances where people are just like cursing people out.
Yeah, and I think it would be more entertaining, in my opinion. It would mean more. And you know what? Like Johnny Fairplay, when he did his lie about his grandma being dead, in his confessional, he's like, I'm only going to get one opportunity to play Survivor. Granted, he played again, but like in his mind, he's like, this is my one shot. I'm going to do anything I can to win Survivor. And I think all of that goes to why Survivor feels different now than it did back then.
It goes into our talk too of people not wanting to be perceived on social media as being like a bad person or somebody that's a liar or somebody that burns somebody else, because fandoms are nasty and vicious now. Way, and they're way more able to get their hatred out than they ever have been before. So I think that's a big part of that. I think that, yeah, I think we just cross up all the check boxes there. The social political climate cannot handle having all these crazy people on it. I think if you go back to Survivor Africa with Big Tom voting out the guy that stole the beans,
Clarence,
ate the beans, I think that there would be an entire whole thing about it on social media.
Big Tom doesn't play in today's society. That is for sure.
Reality TV is not what it used to be, but it's like obviously it is making a little bit of a comeback, but not, I don't think, as like with the regular household as a whole. I think a lot of times tell people I still watch Survivor, they can't believe that Survivor is like still on TV. I think it's a lot of that, and social media. Obviously, people that were wacky and wild don't want to get famous can easily just create a TikTok account and
That's true,
do
yeah.
be themselves there too. So
Or they can go on Squid Game the Challenge. Like you said.
Yeah, I actually disagree. I think I've talked about this before. I disagree that the fans are more vicious or crazy or toxic now. I do think the thing that is different is the players are more accessible to the fans.
yeah,
Which I think is like the main, like, because there was a lot of craziness and toxicity, especially even when the show is like at its peak as well. Like we talk about like Jerry Manthey, I think I mentioned previously when we had this discussion.
Yeah.
And like the backlash she faced from fans. But like for the most part, you have to kind of go digging onto like Survivor Sucks or whatever, or some of these like other forums to like really find the like toxic fans like hating on you. Whereas I think with how accessible certain like kind of media apparatuses surrounding the show, obviously like podcasting, players kind of going on podcasts in order to try to build a presence for themselves so they can't have return appearances, trying to maintain some level of decorum with fans in that way. I think there's a lot of other kind of factors that play into why there's less Johnny Fairplays, for example.
Yeah. And I do think like, well, I definitely agree. Like people were vicious. There is like this weird thing where people are like cops now, like everybody's a cop and everybody's like, oh my God, this person did something I didn't like. These should be fired from their job. You know, like these should be outcast from society because they went against what I, wanted or liked. I think that's like a big part of it too, is like people are unhinged and have way more ability to connect with fellow unhinged people in a way that it gets amplified by the algorithm. And, maybe someone does lose their job,
Yeah, no, I think that people are, it's not that people are more unhinged, it's just that it's easier for the unhinged people, like you said, to find
to act.
and for their, because like we talked about Jerry Manthey, like literally got harassed by a flight attendant when she was on a flight because and got like kicked off of a plane because of a flight attendant didn't like her on Survivor Australia. Like,
so it's so funny to watch Survivor Australia now and be like, we all hated Jerry, really?
Yeah, why?
Like, why do we hate Jerry? Yeah, so crazy.
Yeah,
I told you when I watched Survivor Australia, the Outback person that pissed me off the most was Colby because he threw that whole game away.
Right.
Let's go.
Different time, Dylan. Very different.
He still has a chance. He's going to be on 50, so maybe he can finally fix his legacy for good.
Yeah, gonna be. So he's gonna have to drop like Superman in a nursing home or something.
I'm very much looking forward to our season 50 discussions. I have some hot takes of who I think is going to do well and who's not. So
perfect.
Awesome. All right. Well, anything else from this episode that you guys wanted to talk about?
No, I think kind of going back to the I guess going away from our tangent, going back to the actual episode of I think MC Sophie, I still stick to my guns. Rizzo was the right vote, and I think that both MC and Sophie just kind of played that interaction between themselves so poorly. Where if I'm MC, I'm letting Sophie fall on the sword and do that, and knowing I'm basically virtually safe. Where on the flip side of it, Sophie is what I guess. Unless you're willing to want to drive the vote towards Jawan at that point, what is the point of telling MC short of saying, I guess, like you didn't want to, blindside MC with your vote? I think both were kind of like big mistakes. I think MC, if you're going off of like the vote total itself, I think MC going home made the most sense in terms of like the damage she did to her game in the past 2 weeks. But I guess I don't necessarily know what Sophie was trying to accomplish at that point, other than maybe what I just said of not wanting to blindside MC and kind of like garnish that relationship there. I think that was a misplay by both of them. And it's like I said, I feel like the vote was pretty straightforward to just go for Rizzo, get that idol out, or or get or just flush the idol or actually get him out. I think it was very easy before Savannah got involved, and so I'm not sure why the bumble butting happened.
Yeah, I think I understand why it wasn't just a pile on Rizzo. I think he played it well. I think, like I said before, I think him. Obviously, Savannah showing up helped him, but I think he was probably okay before. But I really, really liked the putting his foot down on MC with Jawan and Sage. I think that basically puts them into a no-win position where either they kind of just let him get away with that and then vote for MC, which is what they ultimately did, or they take a completely unnecessary gamble, try to split votes on Sophie, or try to Sophie and MC are playing so messily that you really, I don't think, can fully buy into the idea that there's just going to be a straightforward Rizzo push. And even if it was, it's probably likely that Rizzo would figure it out and play his idol, and then MC goes anyways, and then Rizzo's still in the game, and you've burnt that relationship, and you've gotten nothing from Sophie, who's left. There's just I think this was a safe play. It gives them a lot of options. I think Rizzo kind of created a no-win scenario for them, which is, I think, really kudos to him for doing it. I think that the show is giving credit to Rizzo for playing this episode well. So
I think Sage is also starting to figure out that Juwan is a very volatile person to play with at the moment, where he is flip-flopping left and right. You could tell him anything, I feel like, at this point, and he will believe it and immediately kind of go into paranoia mode. So I think, like I said earlier, I think that'll be his undoing. I feel like that's what they've been kind of painting along for him this entire time. But I am curious of where Sage kind of goes at this point too, because really you can go back to Alex, Christina, and Steven and kind of take that and hope Juwan is along with you numbers wise. But I think once again, if you're Sage, you do eventually need to make that move, and you can't necessarily join the ranks of Rizzo and Savannah at this point. Could, but I think for your game, you got to kind of figure out kind of how to wrangle in Jawan and then the rest of seemingly kind of just obsolete players that are left. The numbers are there, I guess, but I'm now watching Sage. I'm no longer on the Sage hate watch. She's driving me crazy. I'm now on. I think Sage is a decent to good player, and I want to see kind of what she can do to get further.
Yeah, I think Sage is one of the best players in the season, and this was definitely a really rough spot for her, where this could have been a lot cleaner for her if the three people she was with didn't all play really bad.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. Looking forward to covering it here. Dylan, do you have anything you want to promote, shout out before we get out of here?
No, keep following our show. Keep following the Blindsiders. We're trying to stream on more platforms. We're trying to get the word out. We just like talking about Survivor with each other. I look forward to this every week, talking to the three of us. But it's always welcome to have more people join and talk with us. So I think that's fun. So support us there. Really, that's all I got to push. Until I consistently start streaming again, I can't, in good conscience, continue to push that. So keep following us here.
Ben, same thing.
Yeah, I mean, we plugged it, but we're ramping up. We just got the Trader season 4 cast photos. We obviously hadn't known the cast for months, but we got the official photos that they're going to hang up on the wall or whatever. And yeah, that's coming back January 8th, and so we'll be the three of us and Julie will be back with that for Meet You at Breakfast. So I'm very excited to get back to this. I really enjoyed the Traders UK Celebrity that wrapped, and I've been very much enjoying the Traders Canada season 3 so far. So,
yeah, same. I love the Traders. Can't wait to talk about that. As for me, check out the main channel. We'll get everything. I put a video about Survivor video game adaptations and how it deserves better. One person was like, "Oh, this deserves thousands of more views." Couldn't agree more, but I got 15. So please go support that. I think it was a good video. I don't know. Obviously, it's hard to judge when you're the one making it. But yeah, go check that out. I have a new video out today about the first impressions for the new Kingdom Come Deliverance DLC. Other than that, Those Fake Nerds, our other channel, Better Radio is this channel, of course, where you're watching this. Follow our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/WickedEverything, and our newest channel, Wicked Scary, where we cover cryptids and scary stories. So other than that, thank you all so much for watching, listening, however you're consuming this, and we will see you in the next one.